So once again, the Rover and the Matiz meet. I'm afraid I've managed to forget my gimbal today, and I don't have the wind, well, the microphone with a windsock on it either. So, but let's have a look around the Matiz. I'm going to appreciate some of the scuff marks on it. It's been touched up with slightly the wrong colour, I'd suggest, but it looks like that bumper's been repainted at some point. Anyway, I've also noticed we seem to have a chunk of paint missing on the rear door, and rust bubbling up on this rear arch. But these are the Sony speakers I fitted back in the day. I just hacked into the shelf and fitted those. So yeah, not very pretty, but at least it has rear speakers, because it did need them. It had a really tinny sound coming from these little speakers. But yeah, the driver's seat has certainly seen some wear. We'll have to see if that'll clean up, because the actual pattern is quite smart. So we've still got the interior mirror here, because it fell off. I managed to pull it straight off the windscreen, but it looks like that isn't the first time that's happened. But it's still waiting here. We've got various stickers there. It needs all the work doing before I can drive it home. So it's sitting here waiting at a friend's garage in the West Midlands, waiting for me to waiting for him to get the parts, so we can do things like replace the CV joint, fix the exhaust, and replace the inlet manifold gasket, which I think is where the water leak is coming from. So let's have a peek under the bonnet. So note the coolant bottle is empty again, and what we're hoping is that the inlet manifold gasket is leaking, which it can do from over on this side, which you can't even really see or get at. Certainly that might explain why it's so orange here, if it's been spraying out at high pressure, because that ain't right. So we've got the improved gasket on the way. Hopeful that'll do the job. My mate Chris has got to try and get all this gubbins out the way to try and access it. So I don't think that's going to be fun, and I'm very grateful he's going to have a go. We might do the cam belt as well, because I've no idea if that's been done, but we can get the cover off and perhaps have a peek and see what we reckon, because it has had the head gasket done, which makes me hope the head gasket hasn't failed again. And I'm just going to nervously inspect the oil cap, and no signs of mayo going on, the creamy deposits that could indicate a head gasket failure, so hopefully that is not the problem. I've got some seepage of some sort here, I note. I have no idea what's leaking away down there, but yeah, there's a lot to go through. What do you reckon? Is that a belt that's seen a lot of miles, or is it not? Interesting to say. I thought I'd just whip that cover off, which didn't whip quite as easily as I was hoping, just to try and assess it. But yeah, you can't really tell. But given we're now at that stage, and lots more is going to have to come off, maybe it is sensible to throw a belt on it. Well, I think we've decided that might be alright. There's no signs of cracking on the belt at all. So it's going to wait here. It's my mate Chris. This 2CV belongs to my friend Imogen. Hello Imogen, if you're watching. That's Chris's Cadian van. I used to own one of those. And yeah, the Matiz is going to wait here, along with a Simca Aronde. And hopefully tomorrow work will begin, and then I can think about getting the Matiz home, because it seems strange that I bought these two cars on the same day, and one of them hasn't made it home yet, and the other one has covered 2,000 miles. So there you go. I'm just going to do one thing. Not convinced the battery is entirely happy on the Matiz. So we'll just grab the key and see if there's any ignition lights. No, entirely dead. So I might have to add a battery to the wish list as well. And so the sun begins to set on another lengthy day. It's going to be another 250-mile day in total for the Rover. As you saw, we went to encounter the Matiz. So the hope is the work will get carried out, and I'm hoping to pick it up next week. We'll see whether we actually make that deadline or not. It might be a bit of an epic mission involving the 2CV. We're not quite sure yet. But yeah, so far, and I've still got a couple of hours until I get home, it's been another successful day in the Rover. I need to do yet more sums because obviously I've had to fill it up yet again, but it's just a gorgeous evening. I set off with just a bit of colour in the sky from the sun rising, and now it's starting to set. So it has been a very long day. It will be 6 hours of driving by the time I'm home, which is why you don't get videos every day. There are times where I'm just out on the road. Good job I like driving, really, isn't it? Fortunately, I got some prescription sunglasses last week, which is good because I've been driving into the sun. Starting to dip behind the mountains now as we approach the Welsh border once again. But yeah, today has been a typical ridiculous work trip. It's been 6 hours driving, and out of that 6 hours I didn't just go to see the Matiz. I also went to do a feature for Classic Jaguar magazine. That's all in the can and needs writing up. And I also shot a feature for Retro Japanese magazine, a Mazda RX-7 Turbo 2. That was a bit of a box ticking exercise for me as well, because well, I have driven one, but it was many years ago. And to be honest, I think I mostly just did donuts around the field in it. It was at the 2CV camp, but it didn't belong to the person who bought it, so I think many people had a bit of a thrash around in it. Poor thing. So yeah, effectively I got 3 things because there's this video as well. It was nice to see the Matiz again, if a little disappointing in places, because I actually had a better look around it and realised just how scabby the poor thing is. It's going to need some love. And you may think, why on earth are you giving any love to a Daewoo Matiz? Especially one that costs just £100. And well, there's obviously nostalgia. There's a nostalgia kick because I bought that car brand new in 1999. And also, I'm me. Just because a car is cheap doesn't mean you shouldn't spend money on it. So I buy cheap cars, which means I avoid depreciation. It's non-existent. So I would rather spend the money on fuel, in the case of this car, and a bit of maintenance. And I know if you've watched the poor Dacia's suffering, you probably think I don't know what maintenance is. We have been a bit slack there, I will concede. But yeah, I mean, I've spent money on the Rover, and there's probably more to spend. I'd like to go through the brakes and perhaps give it fresh transmission and power steering fluid and brake fluid, just to really keep it in fine fettle. And yeah, there's definitely quite a lot to do on the Matiz. So yeah, lots to do. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and then you'll be told when new videos become live, and there could well be many. And I shall see you in a future video. Farewell. Welsh border, woo!